And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell Blanken, are Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell Blanken. Tyler, it's Sunday. As usual, how you doing today?
I think I'm doing pretty well, Brad. This week was busy. I know it was busy, all caps for you. I can't wait for you to get into that shortly. But yeah, things are good, man. It was a really tumultuous week in wrestling, in my opinion, which I know we'll get into. But but on the job, lots of good from the week. Personally, things are also going pretty well. So I'm gonna say I'm doing well. It was mostly positives this past week. How about you? I Will Conquer You Fear 2 nights. Your first official show, a Winchester production. I want to hear all about it.
It was great. The first night we had about 100 people there. Not bad for a Wednesday night. The auditorium, I'm not sure how many it seats, probably 250, 300, something like that. But a lot of people showed up. I expected maybe 50. So to get about 100 the first night was great. And then Thursday night, I thought we'd get about the same. We had about 140, maybe 150 people, 130 paying, and then the teachers got comped. So there were a lot of people that went that didn't buy tickets. But we did pretty good for a $5 show. We made it a little over $1,000, and to not have to pay rights for it, that's a pretty successful thing. And people left entertained and happy and had a good time. All good. But Tyler, the grind this week, the nervousness. I was looking at my watch sitting in the sound booth waiting for the show to start, and at one point my heart rate was just like 110, just thump 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 thump. And it was kind of like that the entire week. And I think lack of sleep, anxiety, all of these things sort of culminated into Friday night, going to sleep at 10:30, being awakened by a phone call. My phone stopped playing the sleep sounds I had playing, and it was just and I picked it up. Oh, hey, just calling to see if you're okay. It was Jess. And I was like, what do you mean? Well, you didn't answer any of my texts. She had come into the room at least 3 times to check on me, to make sure I was awake and stuff, or to let her know that they were going to HF Coors, this like pottery place where we got all of our plates in town. Awesome, by the way.
That sounds like, is that an Oro Valley joint? You said in
no,
town,
it's Southtown. It's South Tucson, I think.
It sounds fancy.
It's not. It's a big place that's like a giant kiln. It's muddy and dirty in the factory, but they have misfired plates where the colors aren't quite right, or maybe it's got a little bit of a curve to it, that are cheap, but they're like incredible quality dishes. So we kind of like the mismatched look of things. So we're down with that. And she scooped up a whole bunch of nice stuff. So any case, I wanted to go with Tyler. They called me at 10 to wake me up. I went to bed at 10:30 the night before. I haven't slept that long or that hard in a very, very, very long time. But during the show, and I want you to tell me if you ever get this, sometimes when you're really busy, you're not really taking care of how you're eating, sleeping, drinking enough water, all that stuff. I couldn't help it, man. I was dying, craving a pear. Specifically, I wanted fruit, but a pear. I needed a pear. I wanted pears. I finally got my pear Thursday night. I promised Jess. Jess was like, I'm going to the store. What do I got to get? I said, I don't care what you get. Just get me some pears. And I didn't say what kind. So she got a variety. And while I told Jen Davis, who directed the show, did a great job. I'm finally getting my pear. She said, get me one too. And I forgot them Friday morning. I'm a bad teammate, man. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I forgot everything Friday morning. My room, they haven't turned the air conditioning off. And people that haven't been to Arizona before understand this time of year is heat on in the morning and air on in the afternoon. It is, I think it's like 55 degrees outside. So my room's pretty chilly in the morning, but the air is on. My room every morning this week has been 60 degrees. And it does not get above 65 by the end of the day. I have a space heater under my desk. the problem is, hopefully nobody's listening, but the problem is if I call and say, hey, my room's really cold, they're going to turn that off. And then my room's going to be 150 degrees by the afternoon. So I told the kids, I was like, hey, bundle up, kids. Do what you got. Foot warmers. I don't care what you got to do.
Yeah.
And I'm looking over going like, really? You thought today a tank top and short shorts are the move? And then you're going to complain about it being cold? I told you all week. I posted a thing. Bring a blanket. Bring a Sherpa. Bring a damn sheep. I don't care what you got to do to stay warm, but I'm not turning it off. I'll be behind my desk next to my heater. Thank you.
It's a thing, Brad. And I've worked in school. So the 3 schools I've had the privilege of working in have all had outdoor classrooms.
Yeah.
So that's also a whole other sensation of you're literally coming from the climate outdoors into this classroom. I know it's that way at Miranda. It was like that at Cactus, even at Flowing Wells. I didn't have my own classroom, but very much an outdoor classroom campus. Yeah, it's a thing, man, especially this time of year, like you said. Do you have students, though, who are taking your advice and actually bringing that jacket or that hoodie?
Absolutely.
Okay, so some are getting the message.
Yeah. Some
Okay,
forget. I forgot on Friday. I had been wearing my Will Ospreay jacket all week in my classroom.
If you want to be the GOAT, you got
Yes.
to dress like the GOAT.
Yes, sir. I wore my
That was
crew.
a text from Brad. Yeah.
Yeah, it sure was. I wore my crew shirt underneath I just wore my crew shirt for the day on Wednesday and Thursday. I'm like, I don't want to change, just go back there. And I had my Billy Goat jacket on top of that. Friday, I was belligerent, so tired. I forgot my pairs. I forgot the Ospreay jacket. So at 8:30, I was in the bookstore buying a long sleeve shirt. Just
Get out
because I
of
was
here.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That's
just
not a bad outcome of this.
No, but it's no matter what, too cold, too hot. It's one or the other. But I know there's nothing hotter, Tyler, than an edition of Hot Take Ty. So let's play the music.
And now it's time for Hot Take Time. Spicy.
See, now I'm thinking, Brad, that whole story you shared, that tale, if you will, that wasn't to inform the audience. That was just to set me up for this segment, which I thank you for. Okay, so I did not write or produce my own amazing show this week, but big shout out to you. So proud of you, man. However, we had 55 high school students come to our campus, ASU, newly named West Valley campus, right on the border of Glendale and Phoenix. 55 students came to learn about the Teachers College here, to learn about ASU, to get a campus tour, all this good stuff, Brad. So when preparing for these events, I think about music, right? Much like the days in the classroom, I was always someone who believed in playing music as students would enter the class. I think it just creates a nice vibe and a nice ambiance for the day. That being said, I learned quickly that you must be very strategic about your music. Dare I say, you must curate a playlist to ensure that there are no explicit lyrics. I've learned through trial and error about this, right? I've done wrong with this before and learned you have to double and triple check, listen to every second of a song. So knowing that I was going to have 55 guests, Brad, including chaperones, including our supervisor is there, including just general college students walking by, I knew the stakes were high for this. Our previous event earlier this month, I did not curate a playlist. I didn't give myself enough time. So I simply pulled up Earth, Wind, and Fire, Apple Essentials.
Oh, no.
Because that has to be harmless. Like, A, who doesn't love Earth, Wind, and Fire? We're just coming off of September. And then B, I can't think of any Earth, Wind, and Fire songs that have explicit lyrics. So I click play on the Apple playlist. This was earlier this month for a similar event. I go out to the parking lot to help a colleague. I come back and my colleagues say, yo, we saved you. We got rid of Earth, Wind, and Fire. There was a bad song on there. So Brad, I went into this event knowing, okay, this is going to be a massive success. It has to start with the playlist. So I did my research and I discovered Kidz Bop 31. Brad, my hot take this week, when I tell you I don't have a facetious bone in my body when I say this, Kidz Bop version of Hotline Bling is better than the Drake version. Not only was the Kidz Bop Hotline Bling version a massive success for the guests that we had this week on campus, the high schoolers,
So
but when
funny.
I tell you, Brad, I have specifically listened to this song and listened to this event playlist days after executing this event and hosting these students. I've specifically gone to Hotline Bling and Justin Bieber's What Do You Mean from Kidz Bop 31. They are amazing. They are better than the original tracks. And I want you to know about Kidz Bop, Brad. I want all of our listeners and viewers to know, because it's incredible, man. It's so good. I love me some Kidz Bop these days. Do you have any relationship with Kidz Bop? I know you have Freya. She's 6, so she's probably not at Kidz Bop stage yet, but do you have any history with this? Because I just discovered it and I'm completely in love.
Yeah, so the Kidz Bop stuff, yes, back in the day especially, but sometimes when I'm looking up things for school, right? Like I'm gonna play something for school, I can't play that. Oh, there's a Kidz Bop version of it. The bigger question here is, what song was it on Earth, Wind, and Fire? That was okay. We'll come back to that in a second, but
I wish I do. Like, I'm gonna have to report back on that.
Okay.
I have no earthly, pun intended. I have no earthly idea. I was so disappointed and shook that Apple Essentials has a bad one. Like, I don't know if like August Alsina did a remix or I don't know what happened, man. But I'm gonna try to find that answer for you.
I'm trying to look it up right now. Like, what's happening here? Like, I don't understand.
It was on the Apple Essentials list, Brad.
Well, and the Apple Essentials list should just be them. So that's why I'm confused here.
Yeah.
So is there an E next to one of these, or is it just about?
And
it could just be, you know.
Or maybe it did that thing where like you play a song, but then it gives you songs
Kicks it to
like
the next
this
thing?
one.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's on there, Brad. It has to be probably track 2 or track 3. But luckily, I had my peers there to save me. If not, our kids, our guests would have walked into hearing something probably super promiscuous and something that could have led to me being fired. So
that's the only part that I could possibly think it would be from them.
yeah.
It's got to be Innuendo City or something. Like,
Yes.
I don't.
So much of music is Innuendo City.
Yeah.
That was a revelation I had this week. Was like, oh my gosh, like everything is an innuendo to something sexual.
Right.
I have not realized this all my life.
Earth, Wind, and Fire does strike me as a band that would be like the kings of innuendo. But Tyler, all kings need crowns. This weekend was Crown Jewel. So let's get into your WWE question.
Yeah, let's do it, Brad. So I'm going to run through the Crown Jewel card, and then I'm going to lead to my question, which is directly related to this show. The pre-show's back, and we saw Sami Zayn defeat JD McDonough. Main show, Seth freaking Rollins defeated Drew McIntyre to retain his World Heavyweight Championship. I thought this match was amazing, Brad.
Great match.
You love Seth, as you should. I love me some Drew McIntyre, and these guys are just a fantastic duo. Great in-ring chemistry. No surprise there. Rhea Ripley retained her Women's World Championship. She defeated Nia Jax, Raquel Rodriguez, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark in that fatal 5-way. Rhea is her, Brad. We talked about her. I think it was as recently as last week. The whole presentation of Rhea Ripley is it's otherworldly, man. She's on another level right now. Solo Sikoa, this was a big shocker for many. Solo Sikoa defeated John Cena in a singles match. Logan Paul very predictably became our new U.S. champion. He did defeat Rey Mysterio. One of his cronies is back again. We saw this during the Ricochet match at SummerSlam, which I was pissed about. And somehow we got another crony to fly to Saudi Arabia to help him beat Ray. Final 3 matches. Io Sky retained her women's championship. She defeated Bianca Belair. We saw Bayley. We saw the return of Kairi Sane. This match was very, very noteworthy. Cody Rhodes defeated Damian Priest in a singles match. Damian Priest tried to cash in earlier in the night unsuccessfully. Sami Zayn sabotaged him and now
took
has
the case.
and now has the briefcase. So I don't know if we can call Damian Priest in your Money in the Bank. I'm sure he's going to get it back sooner than later, but Sami Zayn did make an appearance on the main card. But finally, Brad, Roman Reigns, with the help of Paul Heyman and the Bloodline, as always, defeated LA Knight to retain his undisputed Universal Championship. So that was Crown Jewel. Lots to discuss from here. My question is quite simply, who is your biggest winner from the show?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Rhea.
It's
The
got to be
end.
Rhea, huh?
It's
What did you-
Rhea. Like
what did you think?
everybody else, it's Drew and Seth looked great. We knew they were going to look great. We'll come back to Rhea. Maybe it's JD just because of the spot. I think that it's probably his biggest spot on the main roster so far. And that match was fun. That was a fun match, man. JD McDonough losing with a via Blue Thunder Bomb too, which made me happy that nobody kicked out. So I don't know. Maybe Kairi. She left kind of quietly because it was during the pandemic. It wasn't even Thunderdome era. It was PC era. So it was so long ago now. I forgot that she was really on the main roster. It sounds like one of the pods or one of the news outlets put out that WWE might be trying to get back Saray. I saw SRS retweet that. So they might be reforming that faction. And if they can get like the 4 Japanese talent, the Joshi talent on the same stable, that stable would be unstoppable in the WWE. And I want to see that so bad.
Absolutely. I just need I need more Sky Pirates merchandise.
Sky Pirates. Thank you. Yes.
I so regret not buying a tee. So the fact that they are back, that they embraced, and we kind of got the seeds planted that this could be the last straw in terms of EO kind of defecting from Damage Control, leaving Bailey and Dakota Kai. I just want Sky Pirates merch again, Brad, because if so, I'm going to use my $10 fan cash. I'm going to get myself that tee.
Hell yeah. So I guess going through all of it, I don't think LA Knight looked any kind of good coming out of that. And I don't think Roman looked any kind of good coming out of that. I don't know. It's you could take any of the Bloodline characters and move them around into what type of interference they're going to have, but it's always going to end up being the same. And it's cold. It's boring. I'm over it. Like, change it up, do something else. Like, it's starting to suck. And I that's wild to me. But anyway, Kairi looked great. People got to see the elbow drop again. And I think that was a big thing. But Rhea has to be the one. But I'll save most of my thoughts because it's part of my question.
Oh, okay. That sounds great to me. Yeah, man, Kairi is a great choice by you. And her whole presentation is different. Last I remember at least, is the Pirate Princess, Kairi Sane. So for her to re-debut in a very, how would you describe it, Brad? I got very much Uma Thurman, Kill Bill vibes, but kind of like red being the primary color instead of yellow. She came in, and obviously we know the rules are different in Saudi Arabia given women's gear, which is it's a different conversation, different podcast. But her presentation, her look, the hair, I just thought it just screamed superstar.
Yeah.
And I like that. To me, it seems like we're getting a different Kairi Sane, a different presentation, and her and EO together are just going to be amazing. So I love your choice of you mentioning Kairi. Again, Rhea, I think, really stands alone for me, but Kairi's a great shout. I can't believe I'm going to say this, Brad, but I think Logan Paul has got to be my official selection here. I want to rag on this dude. I want to rag on his prime energy references and just all that is Logan Paul and why he's become one of the most famous people in America.
Yeah.
But I'm going to save all that. You've heard it before on and off air. This was a great showing for him. He has really adapted to wrestling. Unlike any celebrity I've seen, let me know if I'm really forgetting someone, but how he's taken to this, the way he can pull off these moves. Obviously, we know he's watching Hangman Page's highlight reel just on replay, I think, weekly. But even though the buckshot may not be as smooth as Hangman's, he's got the buckshot. He did a really great lion salt during this match, even though Ray was like 12 feet or 10 feet. I know I'm exaggerating, but like 10 feet on the other side of the ring. Logan Paul winning gold for the first time is massive. I think it makes a lot of sense as well, given his platform and what he can do to elevate that championship and get eyeballs, hopefully, on the product. To me, I got to be honest, bro. I think Logan Paul was the biggest winner from the show.
I don't disagree. I mean, that prick is given everything. So hard to deny him. Talent wise, draw wise, all that stuff. He's good. And we were talking off air, and I think that I mean, I personally, I don't know him, but all the stuff that has happened around him makes me think I don't ever want to know this guy, like ever. And he's not a role model. However, he is undeniable in terms of talent, in terms of drawing money, it seems like, and the talent in the company like him enough to pretty consistently put him over and be amazed by him. So again, I think it would be different if I knew him as a person. So I'm trying so hard not to be a judgmental jerk here. But I struggle with that. So I went with the full-time talent instead of him, but it's really hard to deny.
And Cody, great reaction. He just remains one of the most over acts in all of wrestling. To me, my final thought, Brad, leaving.
I don't understand how. I think that's
it's incredible. It's really incredible.
Because it's been pretty terrible.
Yeah, the fact that he remains this over, and even though he's the American Nightmare, they can go anywhere on God's green earth, and he gets some of the loudest reactions of the night. It's tremendous. I'm leaving this show, and maybe I'm late to the party. You can keep it real with me. I'm leaving Crown Jewel with no doubt in my mind. It's Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania next year in Philadelphia, and I want to say Cody definitely wins, Brad, but there's still that inkling of doubt. Maybe that's what they want. Maybe this is all a long con till we go to Philadelphia, and we're still unsure if this is the guy to beat Roman. But I'm leaving the show with no doubt. It's got to be Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania. I just think the journey for us to get there, from as we record November 5th, when you hear this November 6th, to April 2024, I think it's going to be a total slog. And I don't know who challenges Reigns before then. I would think he has a title match. Roman Reigns has a title match before April. I don't think there are any clear favorites on who that person would be. That would be a believable challenger. So I'm not looking forward to the journey to get there, but you and I are also of the mindset that Cody should have won back in April in LA. So we don't need to relitigate that. But like you, on one hand, I'm really grateful that we've seen this Roman run, because you and I think he's amazing. The Bloodline storyline's been one of the best ever. But we're reaching a point now where the matches just continue to be the same. It's just such a kind of a downer to end a show when we know it's going to be interference, when we know Roman's going to win. I'd rather have just Roman be better than all the roster and just win these matches.
Like early on, right?
Yes.
Like he was early on.
Yes. Because I think LA Knight's a smart enough babyface where he would recruit people, fellow babyfaces on the SmackDown roster, to help him when inevitably we know we're going to get Jimmy. We know we're going to get Solo. We know we're going to get Paul climbing the rope. So that was a downer for me, but I'm leaving this show already knowing what the main event of WrestleMania in Philly is going to be, which inherently may not be a bad thing, but I think the road for us to get there is going to be super boring and redundant.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm not necessarily looking forward to it. I also don't know that I don't know if I agree with you with the Cody thing.
Really?
I think that isn't going to feel like a win for Cody. I feel like it's going to be relief that it's over, that the cursed bloodline story is just finally done, because I'm so sick of it. Other people were like, it's still going. It's so good. It's so good. Is it? What's Jay doing? Is it? Jimmy's just there. And I think they wanted to have a new interesting wrinkle, but it's just the same thing with a different person in the spot. It's just old. Yeah. They got closer to having Roman put LA Knight into a guillotine. At least he had him in the headlock, but I want a guillotine. I want him grappling on top of people and choking them out. He was doing that for a while. And that was awesome. Yeah, that is, I don't know. I feel like they need to be more clever and creative with the Roman stuff. So my question for you, Tyler. So Rhea Ripley won in dominant fashion a la the tribal chief, smashing and stacking, just like Roman did to Edge and Daniel Bryan. The tribal chief won by having his usual combinations of outside interference with interchangeable parts, like I was just talking about, usually culminating his matches in a spear through the barricade before spearing somebody or Superman punching them in the ring. Did you notice that? Like, that's been a trend in all of his matches lately. Is we going to get the spear spot through a barricade?
Yes.
It's old. So this isn't a question. Roman stuff is boring now and should be a felony. Okay. How does WWE stop that from happening with Rhea after she finished murdering basically every challenger left?
Yeah. Yeah, we got to talk about Rhea Ripley. She's amazing. I really enjoyed this Fatal 5-Way. Particularly I know this got a lot of traction on social media, the Zoe Stark spot, the camera person falling over, but still getting the shot. Great commitment to the art there from all involved. It's one of my favorite questions that you've asked in a long, long time. How do we avoid this trope for Rhea? Because she just beats seemingly all of the challengers on Monday Night Raw.
And to be clear, I think her reign should last for a year at least.
Oh, yeah. She's going into Mania as champ. I fully believe that. She's a WrestleMania main eventer. That has to happen. How do we avoid that? Brad, my worry or my suspicion is that we're going to lean back into her being with the Judgment Day and that kind of taking up more screen time than her actual title defenses, save for Jade Cargill going after her. I think the Mania match, this is not my original thought. Again, this is a lot of just digesting what I saw and heard all week. Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, even a likely night one, let's say main event, that makes a lot of sense. So if Becky's out of the picture, if we're waiting for Jade Cargill to stack up some wins and really squash a lot of women, I don't know that there's a clear favorite, Brad. You and I thought Roxanne Perez would definitely be on main roster by now because she's that great. Yeah. I don't foresee that happening. Yeah, you have Candice LeRae on Raw in particular. Yeah, I know Meechin is on SmackDown. Do great shots. Yeah.
I don't know that any of those are.
I'm worried, Brad. I'm worried we could easily lean into a Rhea Ripley run that I think really mimics what Roman is doing. As the de facto Rhea Ripley stan, I'm going to pass it to you. How do we avoid this? Because she's so great, but we want worthy challengers. We want her defending. What do you think?
I think they can simply do the matches the way they've been doing matches. They can put her in 5 ways. They can put her in Hell in a Cell. They can put her in Elimination Chamber. They could do all of those things just to change it up and have multiple people attacking her. I think that's the way to make her make those matches a little bit different. She hasn't needed the outside interference as much, right? Like she can just hoss people. And that's all we need is her hossing people. Like we need her to be stronger and better and more vicious than everybody else. As long as they do that and they don't have the clunky outside interference stuff, we're good. That can run forever. It's just, if it becomes formulaic, it's like, I don't know, Bryan Danielson. Let's use Bryan Danielson as an example. He's been doing singles matches a lot. And in those matches, a lot of the same things happen. Have you been bored by any of them?
No.
So you don't need to have all this outside stuff. And if you do, it should be coming from the outside of the challengers. Like the challengers should be going after her. I know she's not a baby face, but she's a baby face. She's as over as you get. When she's on the Judgment Day with Dom, she's a heel. But as soon as you let her go do her own thing, she's cheered. You can't control that. And other people can get involved. WWE gets stuck in this like all baby faces never cheat thing, which is why I love in AEW when once in a while the best friends or Orange Cassidy tries to screw them over in a match that they ultimately end up losing anyway. But I like the idea of having the interference coming from somewhere else. Have Zoe Stark interfere, cool, but like have Candice try to cheat. Like it would be great because Candice has no chance. Zelina cheating would be funny. Like that TikTok video or whatever it was on Instagram Reels, I can't remember, of her throwing the flip flop. Like,
yeah, Yeah, the
Like,
chancla. Yeah, that was
yeah,
good.
it was amazing.
Yeah.
Have her go outside of the ring and pick one up. Like she's going to use it in the match. It would be a great babyface thing to do. It would be hilarious. It would be outside interference saying I'm willing to cheat to win. And I think she could throw it at her in a match. Rhea could duck it, look up, surprised, like, I can't believe you just tried to kill me with that. And that could be like a fun little wrinkle. Just add stuff like that to break up the monotony so that it's not just talk, punch, suplex, talk, punch, suplex, talk. Oh, the babyface comeback. Eventually, outside interference, spear through a barricade. 1, 2, 3. Because that's what Roman's matches are.
Yeah. They're just all the same.
Yeah.
I do think the beauty
Like a Linkin
of,
Park song.
Actually, I enjoyed me some Linkin Park, Brad.
Okay, let me.
weren't-
No. Let me do this for you. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. All that's every one of their songs has either singing then rapping, singing then rapping. Whoever starts singing or rapping, the opposite person does the chorus, and they're all the same. Every one of them. You're gonna hear it now if you go listen to it, and you're gonna.
Yeah, I love. What was that?
Go,
what was that?
Damn
what was
it.
that album that really put them on the map? It was like Mind.
I can't remember, but it was awesome. I had it too.
Yeah, hybrid theory.
And then when they came out with their second album, I was like, "Oh, this is the same stuff."
Then it's they had the joint one with Jay-Z years later.
Like a Michael. It's like a Michael Crichton novel. They're all the same. Chapter 1, crazy stuff happens. Chapter 2, science. Chapter 3, okay, now we're in the plot. Everything is hopeless, and then the main characters win.
Okay, I sense a poll coming to X. Follow us at GIPod19. Are you with Linkin Park? Are you? I love me some Linkin. So your argument is that you enjoy it, but it's just very repetitive.
It's the same. It's the same formula for everything they do. Yeah, it's their formula,
okay.
So it's still good.
Okay,
it's incredibly formulaic.
Okay,
it's like
yeah.
Okay. It's the verses are either rap, sing, chorus. Which if it starts rap, sing, then it's going to be sing, rap for the chorus. But if it's sing, rap, chorus, it's rap, sing. They just flip it. That's all they do. And then eventually they get to the bridge and then they bring it back around. But that's the whole song. It's verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, done. And it's always rap, sing, or sing, rap. Doesn't matter. It's just, it's so formulaic that I can't not hear it and just go, oh, I know what's coming next. Yeah.
Wow. I learned something new today, Brad. This also makes me think of just so much of music and how many artists specifically use just a repetitive formula.
It's almost everyone, which is why I try to get that out of my head.
Yes.
Because it destroys my enjoyment of it. But like rock, especially like that 2000s to 2010s rock, all sort of started doing that same exact thing because everybody felt like, oh, we have to have this in the middle. We have to have a bridge. We have to have the verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. And that's just all of those songs are formulated like that because nobody said, oh, we should do it differently. Mm-hmm. It's just, it feels like cookie cutter. And then within that, they get to be creative, but it's all the same formula over and over and over and over again. It's Roman Reigns' title run.
Wow. I was just about to ask you, how in the world did we get here to Linkin Park? That's exactly it. It was the Roman. The point I was going to make here quickly, I think the beauty of these multi-person matches in the case of Rhea is she obviously ended up pinning Shayna Baszler, but I could easily see a next program coming out of this being Rhea Ripley versus Zoe Stark. Yeah. I think Zoe had a great performance, and that would be a really intriguing matchup. But Brad, speaking of multiple suitors, it is almost the end of the inaugural season of the Golden Bachelor. So you know that means it's time for our latest installment of A Rose from Me. Play the music.
And now for A Rose from GI's most eligible bachelor.
All right, Brad, Golden Batch talk. Very, very quick notes for you. The long-awaited hometown episode. Leslie ended up getting a rose. we left on a major cliffhanger. I don't
Huge
know how I feel
cliffhanger.
about it. Huge. The season's been largely positive. I don't know how I felt about this decision. After Gerry visited each of the ladies' hometowns, Leslie, Faith, and Treesuh, Leslie gets that rose, and the episode ends with Faith and Treesuh waiting to see who he's going to give this final rose to. I just want to rewind very quickly. The reason why I think Doom is ahead for us, for me as a Treesuh fan, is that during the hometown visit, I forget which family member, but one of Treesuh's family asked Gerry, "Do you love her?"
Yes.
And my recollection, let me know if I'm wrong here. My recollection is that Gerry said, I'm going to do my best Gerry impression. "Well, that's a tough question." Brad, that's not the answer we want.
It was an I don't know. I don't remember what love is supposed to feel like.
So if you contrast that with how he was during Faith's hometown, my recollection is it was Tonsil Hockey Jones. They were smitten with each other. You could just you could see the look in his eyes, Brad. It's clearly going to be Faith as the choice here. I think Treesuh's going home. And obviously we got the preview heading into this week's episode. We're also going to see the women tell all also. That was repetitive. We see that Gerry is really in his feelings about this. Like, he knows he's going to break someone's heart. We had to stop the episode because he needed to take a moment to gather his emotions, and then he's going to break Treesuh's heart. So I'm not looking forward to this week at all, Brad. I really think there is no chance Treesuh's getting a rose, sadly. I am interested in the Women Tell All and what that looks like. So I want to know two things. I want to know, one, what did you think of this hometown episode? I think we agree about Treesuh's fate. And then two, I'm going to sneak in a question here for you. Two, who do you think is the leading candidate to be the Golden Bachelorette? Because typically when we get these women or men tell all, there are some sprinkles of like, oh, who are they shaping up? Who are they kind of setting up to be the next lead, the inaugural Golden Bachelorette? What do you think of hometowns, and who's sitting, do you think, in the driver's seat to be the next lead? Is it going to be either Faith or Leslie? Could you see a world in which Treesuh leads? We have our homegirl Sandra who's there. What are you thinking?
I don't think Sandra. I think, oh man, that's tough because I want to say age might be a factor here, but Sandra's only like a year older than Gerry. I would love it to be Sandra. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think a lot of people were high on Susan.
Yes, great call. Our homegirl Susan. Yep.
Ellen or Joan would be good. Ellen especially, just because, like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot there that could be really entertaining. Leslie, if Leslie gets her heart broken, I don't know. Leslie would be my pick.
Yeah.
But here's my question to you, Tyler. Could you tell us again, what's your mother's name?
My mother's name is Treesuh.
Okay, so it's Treesuh. Did I hear that correctly?
You did.
Here's why I don't think Treesuh has a chance in hell. Gerry can't even say her name. Have you noticed this? I'm pretty sure that Gerry thinks that Treesuh is spelled Treesa, because it's always Treesuh. It's like this woman has no chance. You can't even say that. He's definitely a guy who says, we're out of batteries. We need to go get some more batteries. And we have to put it in the white remote. Like, this is this man. And if you're saying Treesuh and that's what that woman is called, fine. Yeah. But it's Theresa if you want. But at the very least, it's not Treesuh. So I was like, all right, you can keep calling her Treesuh. It's over. But yeah, to your point, I said the same thing to Jess. She was like, who do you think's going? And I was like, I think it's Treesuh, before the episode started.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then we got to hometowns and it was like, I don't know how I feel. Love is just this. And then they go to Face House and it's like, I love you. I was like,
yes. And then
she's so screwed.
Making out on the couch in front of the family. Yeah.
Right.
In front of the grandkids.
Yeah, That was
Treesuh's a
something.
goner, man. And I think she would
No
be
chance.
awesome, but I don't
Yeah.
think she is going to be the Golden Bachelorette. I think it's Susan is a great shout by you.
Jimmy Kimmel's aunt.
Jimmy, yeah, and that we'll probably save this, but for next week, Leslie or Faith. I'm not sure who my pick is. I'm still leaning Faith, but I think you could really persuade me that whoever doesn't get that final rose is the clear favorite to be the Golden Bachelorette. I think Faith or Leslie would be amazing in that role. If Leslie wants to, I feel like her getting her heart broken again. I don't even know if she would want to go through this process.
Yeah, I have no idea, man. Like this is bonkers. So we'll see what happens. But we got 2 weeks to find out. We got to find out next week who's leaving. They do the live gimmick, or at least the current gimmick where Gary's definitely dyed his hair, and then we get to see the what the result is with that golden rose. If he even decides that, yeah, I'm giving this to somebody. Like that, there's always a possibility that he's like, nah, I can't do this. I love too many of you. Let's start a harem, and then the show ends.
the unexpected outcome that I am not prepared for.
Oh, I'm not prepared for your AEW question either, Tyler. So let's get into it.
Let's get right into it, man. This is a longer one, so bear with me. Like I said, 40 minutes ago at this point, Brad, fairly tumultuous week, specifically in AEW, in my opinion. We could discuss a really fun Claudio versus Orange match, Willow and Sky Blue continuing to get TV time, which makes me really happy, MJF partaking in a 4-way scissor. We even had the return of Jerishow, or even my discovery that Ric Flair has an energy drink. I don't know if you heard, he signed to a multi-year deal with
4
AEW.
years. Yeah.
But I want to ask you about a video posted to social media ahead of Dynamite and the potential implications from it. I loved that 1-minute clip spotlighting the women's division set to Doja Cat's Paint the Town
good.
Red. So good. These women are so talented and so beautiful. And I'm just like, more of this, AEW. Please highlight these amazing athletes. So in case you missed it, Toni Storm, Hikaru Shida, Nyla Rose, Saraya again, Ruby Soho, and Willow all appeared in this. What stood out to me, though, Brad, was Britt Baker putting up the devil horns with her hands during one of Doja Cat's lines in the song that references the devil. Conveniently, we also saw the devil appear on Dynamite after MJF's promo. Here's my question. Where does Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, rank on your list of wrestlers who are most likely to be behind the devil mask? And would it make sense from a storyline perspective for the devil to be her?
Number one, she's my 1A. She's the only one now that I've been thinking of, and it wasn't just because of this week. I've actually had this in my head for 2 weeks. Well, I guess 1 week. Last week, I was thinking about it, and then I was like, hold up. Why are we thinking about this like this is just a smaller dude? Why does it have to be a guy? It explains the little bun in the back, the black hair, the frame, all of it. I think it's been Britt the entire time. Adam Cole's involved. I can absolutely see like some kind of stable coming out of this where it's MJF, Adam Cole, Britt Baker, and who knows what else, because the devil's not been attacking Max necessarily. And maybe Britt's jealous. I don't know. But if it gets us more Britt on TV, I am here for it. After that, I'd say Jungle Boy, but I mean, I don't even know how long he's suspended. I don't know what they're going to have him do when he comes back. I think he's going to get nuclear heat because of the CM Punk stuff, because it's one thing if you get somebody out that is universally hated. He was not universally hated. So
the most polarizing guy in wrestling.
Yes. And there was a while where I was like, God, I hope it's Punk, and I hope it's all been a work and Tony's been involved.
Could you imagine? I think we would all just melt. Our phones would just instantly melt from our hands. That would be nuts.
And if TK could make that work, and Punk was willing to work that out and come back and do all of that, God, I pray that happens, because they'd be selling a lot more tickets, and I think the shows would be doing much better overall. Because right now, man, what a week in AEW. So I don't think I have anybody else except one other person that it could possibly be when I started thinking about the frame and everything, because Thunder Rosa is still not around. So I don't know. It could be either one of those, but Britt seems like the clear one. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's funny how all of us in the IWC become unofficial private investigators when these really cool storylines happen. And I'll see on the timeline just like these zoom ins and these theories, and it's actually kind of fun. As someone who enjoys murder mysteries and wrestling, it really scratches a lot of my itches.
So you're a big Impact. You're a big Impact fan.
Impact. You know, if
circa,
they were
circa 2 years ago.
Yeah, if they were
or was it
on
ROH where there was murders? No,
if they were on,
if
they were on YouTube TV consistently, perhaps I would be. But I did learn. Shout out to our friends at That's Freaking Wrestling podcast. I did learn. I think it was Matt who said that there's actually a process on YouTube where you can pay like $1.50 a month, and you're able to watch the weekly Impact episodes along with exclusives. So I may need to look into that, Brad, because $150 a month sounds really reasonable. It's definitely better than $50 a month for pay-per-views, which Tony Khan's announcement was for All in London tickets, not a max deal, not an all women's pay-per-view.
Such a disappointment.
My man, I feel like you're kind of trolling us
Just
now.
Put it out there on Twitter. You don't need to make a major announcement. It's not major.
Absolutely.
Nobody cares.
Could you imagine the reception this week in AEW, Brad, if we got an all women's pay-per-view announcement or max? Like the climate of the conversation, I feel like would be totally different. Instead of
hosted by Ric Flair.
Exactly. Woo energy. Did anyone know this was a thing? Like
some woo energy, serve some woo wings with it.
I'm gonna answer your question here. So we've looked at kind of the silhouette of the person, the shoulders, the neck, all of that, and it would seem like, okay, it's either Jack Perry or it's Britt Baker. You even mentioned CM Punk. You could think of, okay, is it really Adam Cole? We know he's more of a slender guy. All those people are great. I'm not ready to declare it's Britt Baker. The devil horns in the video could just totally be nothing, but I think it would give Britt something really important to do on TV. For it to be a woman just sounds really great to me because we're throwing out all these dudes. But like, no, what if it's a woman who's behind this? That would be awesome. I'm gonna go Britt Baker. They sold me a ticket.
DMD. The D does not stand for doctor. It stands for
devil. And then the merch opportunities for the. Come on now. Come on, Brad. Britt Baker it is.
Yeah, it has to be, right? It'll be like DMD across it, but then Devil's coming down off of one of them.
And she already has red in her primary color scheme, right? With a lot of her. Come on. Let's go. Let's get to it.
I'd be a day one. Okay. My question. So we got Jericho and no more BS Paul White, the Jerishow back. Ric Flair signed for 4 years. Edge is fighting Christian. Danielson is hurt. Still no Thunder Rosa, no Jamie Hayter. Britt is MIA, but might actually be the devil. These are all things I wrote for my question. Okay, I'm getting to my question. It's funny because you asked that and I was like, well, that's literally all the things I had. I'm doing this to you because you've done this to me. And this is probably a prisoner of the moment question. But Tyler, give me an AEW temperature check right now.
Yeah, I mean, if there was any week to do this, it's really appropriate. I was really down on AEW this week, Brad. I mentioned some of what I enjoyed, which I genuinely really, really liked. But temperature-wise, man, we're looking. I kind of feel like your classroom right now, where I sort of kind of come in with some expectations for what the experience is going to be like. But this week, I felt like I was in your classroom, and I did not have my jacket. I didn't have a hoodie. I didn't have a sweatshirt. I just had to sit through the cold booking, the cold announcements. I was pretty down on AEW. I think the major misses were Ric Flair signing a multi-year deal. I just wasn't my favorite. Again, the announcement of the all-in tickets instead of all these other ideas that we kind of worked ourselves into. And then in terms of the actual booking and the storylines, I think what really matters rather than maybe the politics or the ethics and all of that, which can get really muddy, I think they're really relying on MJF to carry the product right now. And I love me some Maxwell Jacob Friedman, but it's a lot. I also think they're becoming really reliant on the veterans, which you pointed out, Brad. Love Adam Copeland. Of course, we need to cherish every time we get to see Sting. We even saw Jeff Jarrett appear. Like, I just... I'm really excited about this week coming up because we're going to see Daniel Garcia. We're going to see, I think, Swerve versus Penta. Like the idea that when AEW
Samoa
started,
Joe, Keith Lee.
Samoa,
That'd be,
thank
oh,
you,
hell,
burying
like,
the lead,
oof, yeah,
burying the lead. Samoa Joe
yeah,
versus Keith Lee. Like what the idea when they were going to start a revolution, when they were going to just create matches and storylines, we were going to see new talent that just felt different. Uh, I think we've lost that the past couple of months. So really down on AEW this week, temperature wise, not feeling great about it. But I think they've heard a lot of this criticism, and if Dynamite's card is anything, I think we're in for a much better week. But with the Ric Flair signing, and again, especially with that TK announcement, Brad, it just felt like AEW has been a bit oblivious to what fans want. And for a while, that's what we could rely on them to
yeah.
do, was to serve fans, to understand what the temperature is of fans and what we want. And for whatever reason, last week, and really since that amazing all out show, I think they've had a lot more misses than hits for me.
100%. I agree with you, man. Like the pay-per-views after that have been great, but pay-per-views are pay-per-views. You got to get people to want to watch, and they haven't done any of that. So yes, he had really good matches on the card, but ultimately you got to have people want to tune in. I'm a pretty big AEW fan, and I don't find myself rushing to watch live. I just barely watch it taped these days.
And that used to be the routine for you every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday,
you had to
sit
get
down.
home to watch
Saturday
Dynamite.
night, I would be watching. Friday nights, I was like, Rampage is must watch. I would always catch like AEW Dark on YouTube and then go into Rampage. I loved that. Now it's like, I feel like the shine of it being an upstart has worn off. And now it's starting to feel very corporate, but not corporate good, like corporate bad.
Yeah,
where
so true.
WWE
Yep.
has corporate bad, but good production and good consistency, even though it becomes formulaic and repetitive because of that on occasion. Like WWE is leaps and bounds ahead of where AEW probably should be at this point. Like we keep saying they're a young company, they're a young company, they're a young company. They're so young. They're still going through growing pains. And also it's 2023 and nobody's got time for that. Like streaming is right there. Nobody wants to watch on TNT. Nobody wants to watch on TBS. Like their apps are garbage. So like going on the TNT or TBS app, why the frick do I have to log in every week to this app? I just want to start. I logged in last week. Why do I have to log in with my credentials again? This is bullshit. So like, I just want to watch your show. And if it's going to become like this cumbersome to watch Paul White's displaced hip walk down the aisle to wrestle somebody that's his age as well, I'm good. I'll catch it on Twitter. So it's really difficult to find myself wanting to watch AEW right now when there's all this. We're not going to allow Hulk Hogan into our arena.
Come on,
because
man, talk about it
being problematic, and then you hire Ric Flair. Like what?
Yeah,
what
and
are we doing?
It just seems so unnecessary. And maybe for Sting, right? Maybe TK sat down with Sting and this idea was floated. Or
And Andrade, like Andrade's probably a part of that too.
Yeah, for sure. So maybe there's behind the scenes where talent really advocated for this. And financially, I was listening to some of what Fightful was saying this week, and apparently, like Woo Energy is going to pick up a lot of the cost of Ric Flair's contract, or just like business wise, maybe it makes a lot more sense for AEW, especially when they can license his merch and all that good stuff. But yeah, man, they've had quite a few misses lately.
Now, I
don't
this.
think we're alone in feeling this way. There's a lot of AEW fans that have been down with the product for years that are feeling like, wait, this doesn't feel like the AEW that I fell in love with.
Honestly, I feel like it hasn't been that AEW since Cody left. Things have just felt different.
Really? Wow.
Well, don't get me wrong. That year after he left was incredible.
Yeah.
It was great, and it felt like it was ticking up. But it all changed. It didn't feel like the same startup. It felt like, man, you got Cody left to go finish his story. And now it turns out Cody left because he's got beef with people and we don't know what happened. And I really want to know what happened. My guess is that it wasn't with TK. It might have been with somebody else, but I don't know because he had everything there. And like he had his own TV show. He had everything. So I'm not really sure what went down there. It was dumb. And he admitted it, for him to say that he's not going to ever challenge for a title when he should have and been able to carry the flag for the company. And I think it would have been the right move in hindsight. It's crazy that never happened. But I'm also very glad that he's in WWE and is one of the biggest stars in the world because of it now. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
absolutely.
I feel a lot of ways about it. Last thing before we get into our final seg here, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Sting. AEW has been great about bringing back legends, talking about NWA and the history of wrestling. I think this might potentially be a really good move. I can't exactly forgive the stuff that Ric Flair is accused of, which he has denied. Hard to side with him on this thing, but also I have so much respect for what he did in the ring. It's complicated, like we've always said. Things are just more complicated, more nuanced. But I'm excited at the prospect of what Ric Flair could bring in terms of wrestling history to AEW, and then hopefully his ideas for the talent and ways he can help people on the roster might be invaluable. So we'll see what happens there. If I had the control and the money, I simply would not have done that. But I don't know, because they're doing stuff in WWE that I don't like either. So it's just wrestling. It's the way that business works, I guess.
Exactly. Well, speaking of complicated and nuanced, the NBA in-season tournament has started. I still don't really know how this is working or what the rules are. It would
like
be
a
helpful if I
play-in,
just
and it's very strange.
reread an article. Yeah. But I know you feel a way about this. I have some thoughts also, Brad. So we need to get into this. We need to talk about courts. We need to talk about colorways. We need to talk about trophies and money. It's time for another edition of What Happened Here.
What happened here?
All right, Brad, the in-season tournament. I learned of this aspect of the tournament, which I find way more interesting than the brackets or the money or
Sure.
all the other talk. I want to talk to you about the design of the courts for these in-season tournament games. You kind of pseudo broke the news to me. I saw one of your posts from this week where you were sharing your thoughts on the Detroit Pistons home court for these in-season playoff games. So in case you haven't heard, this is brand new to the NBA this year. They're going to have an in-season tournament, and you can look up additional details. We won't get into all that. But a gimmick that's a part of this is any in-season tournament game being played as recently as this past Friday, the home team has a very special court. It's colorful. It kind of looks like Skittles is sponsoring it. Brad, I want to pass it to you first. What do you think about this element of the in-season tournament, and more specifically, the home court of your beloved Detroit Pistons?
Court is awful. It's one of the ugliest things I've ever seen in my entire effing life. Like there's probably too many similar color schemes. I mean, red, white, blue, those are colors that everybody uses. It's America. So maybe that's what they were trying to do there, but they had like the black and gray with that, not even red, that like orange color. That's not anything. None of the colors except for black are part of the Piston scheme, and black's being generous. That's just like the city jerseys. So somebody was like, oh, it's bad boys. It's bad boys. It's bad boys. Gray isn't bad boys. That's the color of the tee it was put on. But it was like black, white, and orange.
Right.
But we're not getting those colors. It's different. And if it's going to be bad boys, don't you think you should put that logo on the floor so people know, instead of that shitty Detroit writing? That sounds awful, just dreadful, awful, terrible. And I understand what they were going for. It was executed very poorly. They should never do this again. I like the idea of having custom floors for the tournament to make it feel a little bit more collegiate, because it gives me Oregon vibes when I see it.
Yes,
just having
Oregon,
that
Boise State football.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So I like that aspect of it, but also, what are we doing there? Good God, man. Also, the rules are very confusing. I was just running them through. In-season tournament 101, rules, format, and how it works. Ready?
That sounds helpful.
Roman numeral 1, summary. Group play, knockout rounds. Roman numeral 2, tournament detail. Group play draw. Broken down into the different groups. Group play, what it all means. Knockout rounds. Roman numeral 3, prizing and league honors. This, if I printed this out, this is probably like a 4 or 5 page document of just how this works. I'm not reading all that. I'm just not doing it.
No.
I love the idea of a mid-season tournament.
Right.
I'm different, I guess. I like the bracket. I like to know. I don't know. I just like to see it as something different because it doesn't really affect anything. It's just
there's no playoff implications, and that's been a criticism of, okay, if you're going to have this, well, the team that wins should get an automatic playoff bid. But then the detractors would say, well, then why would they be motivated to play the other half of the season? Yeah, there are factors here for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's fine because like the play-in tournament games, the ones that the qualifier games are all regular season scheduled games. They're going
to happen anyway. Yeah.
So
right, they're never going to shorten from 82. Too much money.
When I look at this tournament thing, it's 3 championship trophies, which that's fine, I guess. They won 3, but I don't get that thing in the middle. That stripe in the middle, I think is supposed to be red. And it's just fugly. It's just whole thing.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Platinum Equity. I'm looking at it right now, just going, this is maybe they went gray because Platinum Equity, but I literally, like, you could have put purple there and I would have been like, oh, that makes more sense than this. Like, it's just so bad. Why wouldn't you just go with the Grant Hill colors if you wanted to change it up?
Yeah, it was a great uniform.
I would have loved, like, they should have made the court all white. I think that would have been insane. Mm-hmm. My fear is that all of this was dictated by what the cameras were going to pick up. A black court wouldn't work. A blue court might be too overwhelming. So the red stripe is just enough, and then you put the gray on the outside. So my guess is that it's a camera thing and what it's going to be what it'll look like on a television screen. So that's my guess. I don't know, because I'm looking at OKC's court right now and it's bright blue, and Houston's is bright red, but those are both blue and black and red. So what do you do with the Pistons if Houston and OKC are going to have those? And the gray color is part of the Motor City stuff. So I get it. It just looks stupid. I hate it. I think it's the dumbest one of all of them. If I took the word Detroit off of the middle of that, would you be able, if I gave you 1,000 guesses?
Not a chance.
Just
absolutely not.
Yeah, it would be the last one on the list. I feel like I'd go, why is that Spurs court got red on it?
Spurs, yes.
I just don't get it. Anyway.
Yeah. I gotta.
What are your thoughts, man?
No, man. I'm gonna surprise you on this. They're kind of growing on me. I was catching some of the.
I like most of them. I just hate Detroit.
Yeah. For Detroit's, I agree with you, but just the concept of them, I was kind of on my basketball purist vibes, if you will. I was like, what is this? I don't want this. But I was watching some of the games last week. Particularly, I remember seeing Denver's home court, and I thought, you know what, this to make this stand out, to really just kind of go for it and make the tournament a thing. Maybe this will work after all. I didn't loathe it as much as I thought I would. I'm just sad that the Suns dropped 2 to the Spurs this past week, Brad. Victor Wembanyama arrived at the Suns' expense. So last week was tough for me, wrestling-wise, basketball-wise. But in terms of the design of these floors and these courts for the tournament, I'm actually coming around on them, including the Suns.
The Suns one's fire. I love the Suns court.
Yeah, it's pretty nice, but I agree with you. The
colors
Detroit
are confusing,
one is,
but
yeah, for sure. The Detroit one though is pretty irredeemable.
I wish for the Suns court, I wish they went purple with an orange stripe instead of the blue stripe.
Yeah,
but I do like the Lakers one looks. It's probably the best one. Because they have the logo in the center. But they have the logo in the center. If they just had the word Lakers on it, like everybody else, like the Suns have the Valley, Detroit has Detroit. The Lakers just has the Lakers logo. Why can't we have nice things?
Yeah, they always
it bothers me. Anyway,
as it should.
Neither here nor there. What do we miss, Tyler?
So I don't think we missed much, Brad, on my end. I just want to give a quick shout out here to the home team, to our colleagues at 19 Media. Big shout out to all of our fellow creators on the roster. The shows in particular, Small Town USA. In terms of NBA coverage, The Baseline, Hip to the Games, Late Night Lake Show, football, Hidden Gems football, Heavy in the Paint. So much great content available for you now. We also want to give our congratulations to Stephen Cameron, former host of the Close Up Magic. He has moved on to, I want to make sure I get this right, Magic HQ. So he is creating content for them over there. Former guest, definitely always a friend of the show. Big congrats to Stephen. I don't think we missed much, Brad. Just a big shout out to all of our colleagues. Shout out to the home team, 19 Media Group.
Yeah, I think I don't really have much to add here. You didn't really take anything I had because I couldn't think of anything. So I wrote down The Curse of Oak Island premieres this Tuesday. Can't wait for this show to come back. I got to see what's in that pit. And then Disney Channel announced Echo as the first TVMA Marvel show on Disney Plus. Curious to see what a TVMA show looks like on Disney Plus. Because I love Daredevil and I loved all of those series over on Netflix. So to have them bring that back and that vibe back is going to be awesome if they lean into it. If they lean away from it, it's going to suck. But if it's what I'm hoping it will be, especially since Vincent D'Onofrio is reprising his role as the Kingpin, then it should be pretty great. That comes out later this year. So lots to look forward to. Like you, I'm probably going to catch games this week. I'm hoping now that I have a little bit of time and maybe even watch wrestling live. We'll see.
I love that. And we hoped you loved this episode. Thank you for being here. And we hope you'll join us again for the next edition of GI. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.